Welcome to another powerful episode of the No Limits Life podcast. I'm your host, Nordine, joined by my co-host, Ken.
Hey.
Today's episode is about service, sacrifice, and the kind of leadership that shapes nations. It's about the men and women who stand at the forefront of defense, embodying the highest ideals of commitment, courage, and resilience. True leadership is not about rank or position. It's about the willingness to serve, to sacrifice, and to inspire others to rise to their full potential. Our guest today is Commander Sergeant Michael G. Becker, the Command Chief Master Surgeon of the 355th Wing at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona. With over 2 decades of service, Chief Becker serves as the Senior Enlisted Advisor for one of the largest installations in the U.S. Air Force, overseeing more than 52,000 personnel, 152 aircraft, and 51 billion in assets. His leadership extends to active duty, guard, reserve, and customs and border patrol agencies, reflecting a career marked by dedication, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to mission readiness. Please join us in welcoming a true leader in the world of defense and service, Commander Sergeant Michael G. Becker.
What an amazing introduction. Thank you, Nordine. Thanks, Ken.
Hey, Mike.
It's truly an honor to be here with you guys.
How do we address you, by the way?
Mike works great.
Mike.
I've got 26 and a half years in the military, and you kind of lose your first name. Every time somebody calls me Mike, it makes me happy.
I asked the same question earlier, and you said, no, call me Mike. You know, it's different for us, right? Standing where we are, it's intimidating. It's almost like, I got to respect this guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he earned it. So, Chief, can I call you Chief Becker?
Chief works too, yep.
It's an honor to have you here, as we said. And, it's always an amazing thing to speak to people who have, served the country and sacrifice, such as yourself. Today's quote is about the deeper meaning of leadership and service. How does this resonate with your journey in the Air Force, guiding thousands, both in the field and personally?
So service is something, obviously, we take very, very seriously in the Air Force. It's one of our core values. But it absolutely means something different to everyone that serves. Mm-hmm. We all join for different reasons. I joined because I didn't really have a plan. And I thought that the military would help give me a plan. And then you stay for different reasons. Service, goes from wanting to serve your country or wanting to serve something greater than yourself. And then frequently for a lot of us, it gets smaller and you start really serving for the people, the men and women that are to the right and left of you. You serve for your family. You want to make them proud. And I served during a time of consequence. I joined the Air Force at the end of the 90s when we had won the Cold War. Like world peace had broken out. And then 9/11 happened and started serving for much different reasons. And, plans that you have to get out and go to college and, start a life, start a career, all of that kind of goes by the wayside when you see the need for what you're doing in the military.
But initially you started with this question, what is my purpose?
Yeah, my purpose was to get a job. I failed at going to college. It turns out you actually have to go to college, and I didn't really learn that. But I moved home. My father was still serving in the Air Force, and after a couple of weeks, he looked at me and said, hey, man, you're not just going to live here. You're a grown man. And so I went down and saw a recruiter. And
It's just not a family thing, because you're a Air Force brat, right?
I am, yeah.
So it's not because you started this, you went to join because you thought, okay, my dad was in the Air Force, so I'm going to do that. Was it because of that, or you had another different question? That's what I wanted to get to. What was it? What was little Michael thinking about when he joined?
Well, it was a comfort. So, for a lot of people, joining the military is incredibly scary because it's new.
And that's exactly what I want.
It's a culture change. Where you come from, showing up on time, wearing a certain kind of clothing, having your hair cut a certain way, really isn't a priority. In the military, it is. And so it wasn't a huge step for me. Like when I got off the bus at Lackland Air Force Base, that's where we do basic training. It wasn't a huge leap for me. I'd never done it before, but I knew why. A lot of kids coming in the military don't really understand the why behind it. And that's one of the hardest parts of bringing new people in, is just getting them indoctrinated is the wrong word. It's more enculturated into how we do things and why we do things. And that's the most important thing I've seen with this generation of young folks. And I'm sure you gentlemen have seen it too. The why is a lot more important.
Yeah, I think it's valid for any industry or anything we want to do. There's if there's no why, then you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, we were raised, by people that survived the Depression and World War II.
Mm-hmm.
These were people that we had Thanksgiving dinner with. Mm-hmm. Why wasn't really a factor. Now it is, but we raised these kids, so we earned it.
So, what kind of experience made you decide to stay in the Air Force?
So again, I said, my initial plan was to join, get some skills, and then get out and start a real life somewhere. 9/11 changed all of that for me. I'd only been in the Air Force for a couple of years.
So how did it change?
We had a purpose, right? I wasn't just hanging out by a flight line waiting for an airplane to come in with a hung bomb or a hung missile.
So no longer peacetime.
No longer peacetime. And my specialty, what I did in the Air Force before I was thankful enough and lucky enough to get selected to be a command chief, was I did explosive ordnance disposal.
Oh, God.
So the bomb squad for the military. We got a great movie on. It's called The Hurt Locker.
Oh yeah, I've seen the movie.
It's perfectly realistic. Everything happened just like that.
I was agitated and anxious the whole movie.
Yeah, it was the intent. So yeah, you got what they were putting down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we did that 9/11. I deployed shortly after that to a small base in the Persian Gulf. Came home, and then Operation Iraqi Freedom started. We invaded Iraq. And then my specialty was called on to be the first people in the Air Force to go support the Army mission. And then I blinked my eyes, and it was 10 years later, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I had a wife, 2 young kids, and my life had changed. And I decided that this was what I needed to do kind of for the rest of my life. Public service, whether it's in the military or outside, is something that's just a part of my DNA now.
So in order for you to grow, because you said you didn't go to college before the military, were you going to school during the military?
No, not at first.
Okay.
It was way too busy, and that's definitely a regret I had. I didn't get serious about finishing my bachelor's and then my master's until I'd been in the Air Force for more than a decade.
Oh wow! Okay.
And everything I tell the young folks coming in, and I think it's applicable to any kind of industry, is you're never going to have more time and energy than you do today. Your life is only going to get more complicated. You're only going to have more responsibility. You're only going to have more things pulling at you, so do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the complexity I want to address. You mentioned that you discovered that that's what you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Are you referring to I want to be?
Yeah.
Because what you did it takes a lot more than doing to stay and to love what you do. When you go and you sent overseas, a lot of people think that, oh, wow, these guys they go to war and they must be violent. They must be, I don't think that's the case.
There are violent men in the military.
Mm-hmm.
That is a thing for sure. But I would say most of us, those of us that kind of consider ourselves members of the warrior caste, violence is absolutely a last resort. And most of us, unless you grew up in an area where violence was a part of your daily life, never really experience it until you're in war. And most of us realize that we're all kind of capable of it, but it's not really necessary. If you're doing the right things, if you're being smart, we joked about hearts and minds while we were over there, but you absolutely did more to accomplish the mission if you could get the objective done without violence. But all of us were always ready for it.
Michael, compassion.
Absolutely. That is a thing. And wow, I haven't thought about this in a while. Thank you, Nordine. When you go to a place like Iraq or Afghanistan, a place that's a war-torn country, where government has failed, where public safety has failed, where just the basic facets of life as we know them in the United States don't exist. Like, there are poor people in the United States. There are bad neighborhoods. There are bad areas, but it's nothing compared to what they have over there. Experiencing true poverty and hopelessness kind of vicariously through going into a war zone is something that most Americans thankfully never have to understand. And that's one of the things that I've seen that's really affected a lot of our veteran community the most, is when you see like the capacity for evil that other human beings are willing to inflict on other human beings. That can really affect your brain.
I would imagine.
When you can see the horrible things that people are willing to do to other humans. It can really mess you up. And I've seen a lot of that in my career.
Yeah, and that being aspect that I was referring earlier, you're all pumped up, you go into service and you go into Iraq and you're afraid, and you're thinking, I got to do this, do that. When you have compassion and you have that love for what you do, you are pushing fear away, and you're more of you have that compassion, you have that empathy, not only for them, but for yourself, because you're doing that. You're becoming that person that is going, essentially, is to help another country. Let's not forget that when we go there, we don't go there just to think about blowing things up. We go there to help.
You are.
Is that a correct statement?
That's absolutely correct. It's kind of been a core tenet of my service. I've always felt like I wanted to be one of the good guys. And that's really what we've historically always stood for. Like, we're supposed to be the good guys. And there's times when as a military we stray kind of off that path. But we always, I think, find ourselves back on the path to good and the path to right. Like, we're there for a reason. We're not just there, like you said, to break things and kill
There is
people.
a similarity, it's a big family, by the way.
Yeah.
And Ken, are you the eldest in your family?
I am, yeah.
Okay, so I want you to think about this. I'm the eldest of 13. And whenever there's a problem at home, I was always the one to be singled out. I was always the one to be blamed. I see, and to all those people that are watching, I'm not into politics. I'm not into, I have a good heart, and I think all of you guys here.
I would agree with that.
And so, but the thing is, when you have that responsibility of being the big brother, everyone blames you for anything. But your heart is set to help your family. You're always looking at your siblings, your parents, and you step into helping and doing the best you can so the family is safe. And that's what you guys doing. Yeah. You go there. You're not the cops of the world. They need you. And it's the fact that the most situation you're in, like you mentioned, the poverty and everything else, is based on compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have another question for you. Is there any issues that ever happened to you within your family that hindered your commitment to service?
So yeah, hindered is maybe a too strong of a word. There were definitely moments that caused me to think about why I was doing what I'm doing. So military is still an all-volunteer force, but you sign your name, you raise your right hand, you make an oath, and you're going to serve your term. So you can't really walk away. One thing that was interesting about my career field, the explosive ordnance disposal career field, is it's one of the only volunteer career fields. So you can, as an EOD guy or gal, raise your hand at any time and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And the Air Force will find something else for you to do.
I would do it on the first day.
I don't know. There's a whole different kind of fear of disappointing people that kind of creeps in.
I don't care who I disappoint. I'm not doing it.
But stories of that. So 2007, we were getting ready to do the troop surge in Baghdad, and I was going. And my wife was pregnant with our first child, and the dates weren't lining up. Like, I was going to have to go and miss the birth of my daughter, who's getting ready to graduate high school here in a couple of weeks. Love you, Ava. But I had some amazing leaders, and this is a great story. So this, I don't want to make anybody cry in here because I might start.
Yeah, I cry easily, so don't do it.
This is all about,
So we're at pre-deployment training out in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, and I find out that there's a possibility that I'll be able to deploy late so I can be there for the birth of my child. One of my best friends, his wife was pregnant and due on the same day. We didn't plan that. That's just kind of how it happened. And he had an opportunity also. So what we needed was for 2 of the 8 team leaders in Baghdad that we were replacing to volunteer to stay late. And this was a group that had just lost an entire 3-person team to a car bomb. They had multiple injuries. It was a really rough tour for them. So the volunteer request went out, and we were just hoping against hope that one person would decide to stay late, and then he and I would flip for it. All 8 of those team leaders volunteered to stay late.
Wow.
So I got to meet my daughter.
That's so cool.
And it wasn't a sure thing that I was going to come home.
Again, family.
Yeah.
It's a big family.
Yeah. What would you say, like, as you think about this, if you were to write a book, today, what would be, and you're in the chapter of reward, what do you think the most rewarding part of your career service has been?
The most rewarding part is what I'm doing now. So I got to serve an entire career really in an elite career field that I felt like often I didn't have any business being in. And then I didn't feel always like I felt qualified to be a leader in that community. But I was. It turns out, way dumber people than me that figured this out, right?
Right.
And then I was selected to do what I'm doing now in the Air Force, first in Montana and now here as a command chief.
So do you apply for this, or they just come approach you and say, hey, we want you, we want you for this position?
It's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay.
You go through a kind of selection and assessment process. You meet a board. But at the end of the day, you have to get hired. You have a conversation just like this with a wing commander, and that person decides whether or not you're the person that's going to be next to them through this incredibly
Is it a grueling
journey.
process?
It can be, depending on who you're chatting with. My current boss now made it super easy. He's one of the kindest human beings in the world, and we're best friends right now. But yeah, it's a life that we live together 24/7, and that's been the most rewarding thing in my career. Being trusted by him to be his senior advisor, kind of be the last person that talks before we make a decision. Mm-hmm. I just feel incredibly blessed and lucky because I still think of myself as that 19-year-old schmuck that couldn't get out of bed for a 10 a.m. class in college.
Do they ever come after you to stay longer? Like you're thinking, okay, I think I'm going to retire. Or are they saying, hey, don't retire yet. We got more plans for you?
I got a little bit of a hard sell. They wanted me to take another job. And not necessarily just because they love me, because there's a math problem and they need somebody to go do a thing. But we just loved it here in Tucson. And I was looking at the future and looking at my son specifically. He's about to turn 16 next month or this month. And he just loves it here, and he loves his friends. And I have drugged my kids all around the world. My daughter is getting ready to graduate high school, and she's been to, I think, 8 different schools.
Wow.
I want to give at least my son the ability to get all the way through 4 years of high school with his friends.
That'd be nice.
And another one of the great things about my job is I'm literally almost always the only person that cannot get promoted again in the room.
Oh.
So I'm free to give unfettered advice.
Do they ever want you to go back in the bomb field and
No,
and
they
try
wouldn't.
to assemble?
They wouldn't want me. I'm way too old for that.
Michael, health and well-being. Obviously, look at yourself. How important is that to you?
Oh, I mean, from a body perspective, it's important. But for me, it's a mental health thing. Mm-hmm. If I don't do something, and that's the other thing, like we have to forgive ourselves if you don't feel amazing and don't give a full hour and a half massive workout at the gym. You've got to do something. Even if it's 15 minutes on the bike, if it's 10 minutes walking, I have to do something every morning. Otherwise, I just feel off.
Keeps
all
you
day.
going.
Yeah, it is. It is more for my mental health and physical health for sure.
Mm-hmm. That brings me back to that statement from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Which is
Which
what?
says, before going to the gym, my life looks like a black and white movie. After the gym, it looks like a color movie.
That's so true.
I like it, yeah.
Very true
My
analogy.
mood is drastically different when I leave
Absolutely. And this is the good thing about keeping harmony between the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspects of your life. Chief Becker, thank you. Thank you for your service, your leadership, and your unwavering commitment to both your personal and professional lives. I wanted to give you a gift, a token of appreciation, and that's talking about mental health. My current book, Inner Fitness. It's already signed.
Thank you.
I hope you like it.
Oh, this is an honor. Thank you, Nordine.
Thank you so much for being here.
Mike, it was great having you here, and I just want to let everybody know that this went so darn fast. I wish we had double the time, but maybe we can have you back at some point.
Hey, I'm about to have a whole lot of free time, Ken. My schedule is yours.
Well, who's
Just
going
let
to
me
cut your
know.
hair, though?
I
That's
don't
a big
know.
question. Where do you go for a haircut?
I'll just let it go.
Go to Nordine's place.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so please, if you enjoyed this show as much as we all did in the studio, please subscribe, like, share, and
Comment.
Comment, yes. Let people know about No Limits Life, and we look forward to having you join us again. Thanks,
Awesome.
Mike.
It's been an
Thanks,
honor.
Nordine.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Emilio.
Follow your heart, all you got.